Racers for tonight are Cruz Ramirez. Then we have Lightning McQueen. Next to him is Jackson Storm. And we also have Will Rush. The cars will compete in 4 races tonight, rotating their starting positions between each race. Whoever has the most wins will be tonight's winner. Here we go, let's go racing! Lightning McQueen starting off in the front of the pack. Cruz Ramirez in second, pulls into first. Now it's Cruz Ramirez followed by Lightning McQueen, Jackson Storm, and Will Rush. Cruz Ramirez first through the turn, a long slide into the wall, and Cruz Ramirez will get pushed past the finish line to take the win. Let's go to the instant replay to see that again. Cruz Ramirez drifting past most of the cones, runs into the wall, but then gets a bump from Will Rush to push her past the line. Also, check out Lightning McQueen right here. He gets a last-second pass over Will Rush to finish in second place. That will be 1 win on the scoreboard for Cruz Ramirez. We've got 3 races to go. Cruz and Will Rush are in the front. And they're off. Cruz Ramirez back out in the lead. She's really showing her speed here tonight. Lightning McQueen in second place, followed by Will Rush. Jackson Storm in the back. Cruz Ramirez once again way out in front, sliding again, and it's Lightning McQueen who makes it past the finish line first this time. That one came right down to the line. Cruz Ramirez having trouble with the exit of that final turn. She goes for another long drift into the wall. Meanwhile, Lightning McQueen finds a way to spin his way past the finish line in front of Cruz Ramirez. Here it is again from the finish camera. Lightning McQueen bounces off the wall, and look at that, such a close finish. And there goes Jackson Storm, kicking a cone as he comes in last place. A rough start so far for Jackson Storm. Cruz Ramirez and Lightning McQueen currently tied. They both have 1 win each. And they're off again for race 3. We've got Will Rush out in front, followed closely behind by Cruz Ramirez. But here comes Jackson Storm with the overtake through the big turn. Lightning McQueen trying to pass Will Rush, gets blocked. Here comes Jackson Storm, he spins around, and Will Rush navigates his way around Jackson Storm to steal the win with 1 race left. Another very close finish that came right down to the line. You can see Jackson Storm had a nice lead here, but when he comes out of the turn, he spins around. Will Rush takes advantage, goes to the left, and makes his way past the finish line to take the checkered flag. Here it is one more time from the finish cam. I really thought Jackson Storm had this race won, but the race isn't over till you make it past that finish line. We now have a 3-way tie between Cruz Ramirez, Lightning McQueen, and Will Rush. Here we go, this is the 4th and final race. Lightning McQueen and Jackson Storm in the front, and they're off. Who is going to win this race? Jackson Storm currently out in front. Lightning McQueen and Cruz Ramirez pass him through the turn. Cruz Ramirez right on the bumper of Lightning McQueen. Lightning McQueen pulling ahead now. He goes into a spin, and Lightning McQueen manages to slide his way past the finish line to take the win. That was a wild ending to this race. Look at Lightning McQueen right there, spinning around and around. I'd get dizzy if I was doing all of that. You know, watching the replay makes me wonder, was all that spinning an accident, or was he just finishing with style? Either way, he won the most races, making Lightning McQueen tonight's winner. Here we are, race fans, back for another exciting Piston Cup special event here in beautiful Ornament Valley. Our racers tonight are Jackson Storm taking on Will Rush. The first car to win 3 races will be tonight's winner. Will it be Jackson Storm or Will Rush? We're about to find out. Here we go. Both racers right next to each other. Jackson Storm pulling ahead, but here comes Will Rush on the inside. They're neck and neck out of the tunnel. Will Rush pulls in front of Jackson Storm, slides around the corner. Whoa! Will Rush spins past the finish line to win the first race. A very competitive race so far. These 2 racers seem to be well matched in speed. Will Rush was having a little trouble on that turn, and then right here drives into the side wall to spin his way past the line. That's 1 race down. Let's see what happens here in race 2. And they're off. This time Will Rush starting on the right lane. He's got the early lead here, but here comes Jackson Storm to pass up Will Rush. A tight race coming out of the tunnel. Jackson Storm ahead. Will Rush glued to the bumper of Jackson Storm. Jackson Storm takes a bump from behind, and it's a very close finish. But Jackson Storm is able to hold off Will Rush to take the checkered flag on race 2. Look at this. If that finish line was a little further out, Will Rush might have caught him. The score is tied 1 win each as we go into race 3. And they're off again. Once again, both cars right next to each other. Jackson Storm now ahead. Now it's Will Rush. They're back and forth. They're side by side coming out of the tunnel. Will Rush moves in front. Jackson Storm chasing him down. And Will Rush wait a minute. Jackson Storm steals the win from Will Rush right at the very last second. We've got to see the instant replay on this one. Such a close race here. It was a battle all the way down the track. Will Rush had a good lead here, but he turns right, hits the wall, swerves to the left, and that opened up the door for Jackson Storm to fly on through. That is 2 wins for Jackson Storm. One more, and he's tonight's winner. There they go down the track for race 4. This time it's Will Rush out front with the lead. He needs a win here, but here comes Jackson Storm to take over. It may be all over here for Will Rush. There's a hit. Jackson Storm spins around. He's going backwards. Will Rush gets the pass. Whoa! A wipeout down here at the finish line for Jackson Storm as Will Rush wins race 4 to tie the score. This has been such a battle between these two racers the entire night. They've been going back and forth. In this case, they're going forwards and backwards. Jackson Storm tripping over that cone, and that sent him flying past the finish. Let's see it one more time from the finish cam. Here it comes. Boom! The scores are tied, 2 wins each. This race here will determine tonight's winner. Will it be Jackson Storm or Will Rush? Hold on to your seats. Here we go! Another tight race, Jackson Storm ahead. Will Rush closing in, going through the big turn. They're out of the tunnel, side by side. Jackson ahead by his nose. There's contact, they're swerving. Jackson in the front, but Will Rush passes! And Will Rush will slide his way to victory to become tonight's winner. Wow! What a tight and close race that was. Jackson Storm had the lead. I really thought he was going to win this one, but Jackson Storm makes a mistake right here, hits the wall. That caused him to spin as Will Rush slid his way past the finish line. And there he is, tonight's winner, Will Rush. Welcome back, race fans, to another Piston Cup special event. Tonight we'll be racing under the stars here in Ornament Valley. Our racers tonight will be Cruz Ramirez racing against Will Rush. The first car to win 3 races will be tonight's winner. They're lined up at the start, and they're off. Cruz Ramirez starts off in the lead as they go through the big turn. Will Rush getting closer, but Cruz Ramirez pulls ahead coming out of the tunnel. One more turn before the finish line, and the first race will go to Cruz Ramirez. A close race. Will Rush was right behind Cruz Ramirez all the way down the track, but Cruz Ramirez was able to stay one step ahead. Now the racers will switch lanes. Will Rush on the right, Cruz Ramirez starting on the left. Here we go for race 2. Will Rush down by 1 race. Let's see if he can tie the score. Cruz Ramirez with the overtake going through the turn, and now Ramirez is cruising way ahead. Wait a minute, here comes Will Rush. They're spinning, and Will Rush turns this race around to take the checkered flag on race 2. I'm not sure if that was racing or dancing at the end here. Look at Will Rush jumping out of that turn. Cruz Ramirez hits the wall as Will Rush passes the finish line going first in reverse. Here it is one more time. That Will Rush certainly has some moves out there on the track. The race is tied 1 win each. Let's see who wins the next race. There they go. Cruz Ramirez once again back out in front. She's really been outpacing Will Rush so far in this race. Will Rush trying to catch back up to Cruz. He's getting closer. There's contact. They're getting sideways, and Cruz Ramirez slides past the finish line. That will be her 2nd win of the night. Let's look at the instant replay of that finish again. Will Rush trying to get around Cruz to pass, but gets blocked right at the finish line. That is some great track awareness by Cruz Ramirez. One more win for Cruz, and she'll be tonight's winner. Here we go, it's 2 races to 1. Can Cruz Ramirez pull it off? There they go for the 4th race. Both cars are right next to each other. Will Rush slightly ahead, but here comes Cruz Ramirez to take over the lead. Cruz Ramirez with a burst of speed. There's 1 turn left before the finish line. Will Rush is closing in. Oh, what a finish! Will Rush passes Cruz Ramirez at the last second. That means both racers are now tied, and we're going to a tiebreaker race. Look at this right here. This is where Will Rush has been beating Cruz Ramirez tonight. He may not be as fast on the first part of the track, but he's been able to find a way to outmaneuver Cruz Ramirez down here at the finish line. This one race determines it all. Will it be Will Rush or Cruz Ramirez? Here we go! Everything is on the line in this race. Cruz Ramirez is ahead. Now it's Will Rush. Cruz Ramirez takes the lead back. It's a very close race here. Will Rush bumps into Cruz. They're sliding to the finish line. And I don't know who won this race. What a finish. We're going to have to go back to the instant replay to see who won this one. Cruz spins around and there goes Will Rush. I can't tell who got it. Let's go to the finish cam to see who the winner really is. And the win goes to Cruz Ramirez. What an amazing race. Cruz Ramirez is making Dinoco proud tonight. Welcome, race fans, to a Piston Cup night racing special event here at Ornament Valley. Our racers tonight will be the Piston Cup champion, Lightning McQueen, taking on Will Rush. Our first car to win 3 races tonight will be the winner. They're at the start, and they're off. Lightning McQueen starting to pull away from Will Rush. They're through the big turn. Will Rush trying to catch back up to Lightning McQueen. Lightning McQueen controlling this race from the front. Here they come to the line. Bounces off the wall, but Lightning McQueen will win the first race. Here's the instant replay. Lightning McQueen had a little trouble on that corner. Right here, he veers to the left, bounces off the wall, but he still manages to beat Will Rush to the line. That's 1 win for Lightning McQueen, 2 more, and he will be tonight's winner. The cars have switched lanes, and they're off for race 2. This time it's Will Rush taking advantage of that inside lane. Lightning McQueen stays with him. He's pulling ahead now. Both racers side by side. Will Rush out in front. There's some contact. Lightning McQueen spins out, and it's Will Rush with a straight shot to the finish line. Whoa! What happened to Lightning McQueen? It appears he stopped to say hello to Ramon and Sally. Let's go to the instant replay footage. It was a real battle right here between the two. Lightning McQueen gets loose, spins around going backwards. That left the entire track wide open for Will Rush as he rushed his way past the finish line to take his first win of the night. The score is now even. Both racers have 1 win each. They're switching lanes again. Who's going to win this next one? Here we go. They're side by side into the first turn. Lightning McQueen now out in front. Will Rush struggling to keep up. They're through the tunnel. There's 2 more turns left. Lightning McQueen has this one if he can keep it steady. He's into the wall again, and Will Rush slides by to steal the win from Lightning McQueen. Let's see what happened here. Lightning McQueen had this race. He goes up on the right wall, then bounces off the left. That made room for Will Rush to drift on by and pick up his second win for the night. 1 more win for Will Rush, and it's all over for Lightning McQueen. There's a lot on the line in this race. Lightning McQueen down by 1. And they're off again. Will Rush has the advantage on this first part of the track. Lightning McQueen staying right with him. And he passes him going into the tunnel. It's a close race. Will Rush right behind Lightning McQueen. Lightning McQueen has to go straight here. He's going sideways. And Lightning McQueen drifts past the finish line and just barely beats out Will Rush. Here it is again. What an incredible race right down to the line. Lightning McQueen controlling that drift all the way down, almost loses it at the end, and that brings us to a tie race. Both racers have 2 wins each. The next car to pass the finish line wins the race. And they're off. This is an intense race. It all comes down to this one right here. Lightning McQueen in the lead. Will Rush closing in. It's a very close race. Will Rush right on the tail of Lightning McQueen. Through the last turn. Whoa! Lightning McQueen crashes, but he slides past the finish line on his roof to take the win. What a move by Lightning McQueen. This right here was the closest race of the night. Coming out of the last turn, Lightning McQueen flips over, but that does not stop him from winning the race upside down. And there he is, tonight's winner, Lightning McQueen. Welcome back, race fans. It's time for some special Piston Cup racing here at the Copper Canyon Speedway. 2 cars will be racing under the luminous lights with a special glow-in-the-dark paint job. Tonight, the racers will take on our stunt track where they'll have to clear a high-flying jump. Who's brave enough to do it? Let's find out right now. Racing for Dinoco, it's number 51, Cruz Ramirez. Cruz will face off against next-gen racer, Jackson Storm. The first car to win 3 races will be tonight's winner. They're lined up at the start, and here we go! Cruz Ramirez and Jackson Storm racing down the track. Cruz is out in front. They're approaching the jump. Whoa! Both cars just went soaring through the air. Cruz has it. Wait a minute, Jackson Storm passes Cruz right at the finish line to steal the win. I did not see that coming. Let's go to the instant replay. Just look at this right here, a beautiful jump by both cars. They landed it perfectly. Cruz Ramirez had this race, but she swerves to the right. That made an opening for Jackson Storm, and he flew right through. Here we go, the racers have switched lanes. Can Cruz Ramirez get a win on this race to tie things up? And they're off. Both racers very focused here, they're side by side. Jackson Storm moves out ahead, down the ramp. There they go through the air. Great landing by both cars. And Jackson Storm takes his second win in a row. I'm afraid Jackson Storm may just be a little too fast for Cruz Ramirez. Here's the replay, another great jump by both racers. Jackson Storm keeps it straight through the final turns. He maintains his speed, and if he gets a checkered flag on this next race, he will be tonight's winner. Cruz Ramirez down by 2 races. Can she win this one to keep this race alive? There's a lot of pressure here on Cruz Ramirez as we go into race 3. There they go. Cruz Ramirez has the inside lane advantage on this race. Down the ramp to the jump, and it's a huge jump by Cruz Ramirez. Jackson Storm trying to catch up, but that big jump put Cruz Ramirez ahead, and she will win her first race of the night. Look at this jump by Cruz Ramirez. That car went flying through the air. She had a little trouble on the landing. That allowed Jackson Storm to get close, but he could not find a way around Cruz Ramirez to get the pass. It is still 2 races to 1. One more win for Jackson Storm, and this is